Everything you've been told for years about food supplies is a catastrophic lie. The huge corporations selling preppers plastic buckets of freeze-dried noodles and powdered eggs with a 25-year shelf life are simply profiting from your fear. You've probably seen those ads. A happy family sitting in a clean bunker eating beef stroganoff from a beautiful package. Perhaps a couple of those heavy buckets are sitting in your basement right now, creating a false sense of absolute security. But a real systemic collapse couldn't care less about your expensive freeze-dried pasta. When supermarket shelves are swept clean by panicked crowds and delivery trucks come to a complete standstill, those hyped-up buckets will turn into death traps. You're spending huge amounts of money on finite, limited calories that require liters of boiling water to prepare, turning your home into a smoking, stationary target for every hungry marauder in the area. Stocking up on ready-made freeze-dried foods is a fatal tactical error. Today, I'll expose this illusion and name 7 penny-pinching material assets you need to get your hands on immediately. They cost pennies, but in an SHTF situation, they'll save you faster than a stash of branded survival food.
Let's apply some dry logic. Our modern supply chain operates on a just-in-time basis. Cities have food reserves that last a maximum of 3 days. When this house of cards collapses, water will become the main shortage. And here's your first problem. Freeze-dried food is a dehydrated substance. To digest it, your body requires a huge amount of clean water.
If you start eating it dry or washing it down with dirty water from a puddle, you're guaranteed to get a severe stomach upset, dehydration, and die in your own shelter from simple dehydration. Therefore, the first penny asset that's more important than gold is calcium hypochlorite. Don't confuse it with regular liquid bleach, which loses its potency after just a year on the shelf. Calcium hypochlorite granules are a dry concentrate that can be stored for decades without losing its effectiveness. 1 penny jar of this chemical can disinfect up to 10,000 gallons of processed, stagnant, or river water, making it completely safe for drinking and cooking. While others are fighting over clean bottles at the supermarket, you'll have an endless supply of clean water. The second fundamental vulnerability of plastic food buckets is that they'll eventually run out. No matter how much you accumulate, it's a finite resource. In 3 months, 6 months, or a year, your supplies will turn into empty plastic. Your strategy should be built not on consuming ready-made food, but on preserving what you can obtain locally. When the power grid goes out, refrigerators will become useless cupboards, and hundreds of pounds of livestock or game will rot in a couple of days. This is where the second asset comes into play: nitrite salt and curing salt. Regular table salt is fine, but specialized nitrite salt inhibits the growth of deadly botulism bacteria when preserving meat and fish at room temperature. A bag of this salt costs pennies, but it gives you an ancient, time-tested technology for preserving hundreds of kilograms of protein without using a single watt of electricity. You'll be able to dry, salt, and preserve food for future use, while those who own freeze-dried foods frantically finish their last portions. Now, we move on to the third hidden threat. In unsanitary conditions and heavy physical labor, any minor scratch, cut, or blister from a shovel, if not properly treated, becomes a gateway for gangrene or sepsis. Medicines will disappear from pharmacies within a few hours. You can have a ton of food, but die from simple blood poisoning because you stepped on a rusty nail. The third critical asset is veterinary antiseptics and medical protectors. Products such as blue tar, ichthyol ointment, or ASD veterinary antiseptic cost mere pennies in any rural pharmacy. They're designed for the harsh conditions of livestock farming, possess lethal antibacterial power, and create a dense protective film on the skin that won't wash off even with dirty water. This is your penny worth of shield against infection, which will keep you functional when regular Band-Aids and hydrogen peroxide become scarce. The fourth aspect of survival is economics. In a protracted blackout, paper debts and numbers on screens will become nothing. Bartering will be the only way to get what you don't have. ammunition, tools, or generator parts. Trying to trade valuables for your precious freeze-dried food is strategic suicide. By giving away food, you're literally giving away days of your life. Your task is to stockpile the fourth asset, goods with zero friction in exchange. These are the penny-pinching household items that everyone needs but no one thinks about in advance. Ordinary sewing needles, cricket lighters, razor blades, and laundry soap.
100 sewing needles take up less space than a pack of cigarettes and cost a couple of dollars. But when people's clothes and shoes start to rip, you can exchange one needle for a can of gasoline or a bucket of potatoes. This is the ideal, non-devaluable currency of the crisis. The fifth point hits home with its caloric value.
Commercial survival rations are loaded with carbohydrates and fillers to reduce the cost per bucket. They provide a quick burst of energy, but don't provide long-term support for the body under stress. You need autonomy. The fifth asset is seeds of high-calorie, low-maintenance crops, potatoes, legumes, sunflowers. Don't buy fancy survival seed kits in brightly colored jars with a 500% markup. Go to a regular vegetable warehouse or wholesale market. A bag of high-quality seed potatoes or beans will provide you and your family with a renewable caloric infrastructure for years to come. A plot of land of a couple of acres will provide more clean energy and satiety than a dozen plastic buckets from commercial brands. The sixth mistake is underestimating physical exhaustion. Without electricity and gasoline, you'll have to do everything by hand. Haul water, chop wood, and dig. Your body will burn 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. Under these conditions, your food reserves will evaporate 3 times faster than you'd expect based on the package instructions. To conserve your energy, you need a sixth asset, heavy-duty mechanical force multipliers. Simple hand tools that increase your strength tenfold. High-quality rope tensioning pulleys, blocks and tackles, handheld blade vices, chain winches, and reliable crowbars. A simple $10 hand pulley will allow you to single-handedly lift logs or free a stuck vehicle, preserving precious physical energy and saving those very calories you're so desperately trying to store as food. And finally, the seventh, most important asset. When the internet goes down, Google stops responding, and smartphones become bricks, humanity will instantly revert to the 19th century. People will discover they don't know how to purify water without a filter, how to treat pneumonia with household remedies, or how to repair a basic diesel engine. Knowledge is the key to survival. The seventh asset is a physical, printed library of practical manuals. Encyclopedias on folk medicine, metalworking reference books, agricultural and equipment repair manuals, printed blueprints and diagrams. Buy these books at flea markets for pennies, or print out terabytes of useful information on paper right now. This paper library will become your personal tactical supercomputer and the most valuable resource in the entire area. Whoever has the blueprints and knowledge controls local reality. Buying a bucket of freeze-dried food online is the easiest, laziest, and most dangerous path. The system wants you to follow this path, remaining dependent, fragile, and unprepared for the real, harsh mechanisms of local collapse. Change your strategy today. Provide yourself with dry hypochlorite for clean water, salt for preserving meat, veterinary protection against infections, barter items, and paper knowledge. But creating an autonomous warehouse is just the first step. What will you do when government agencies declare martial law and come to officially confiscate everything you've so carefully accumulated? In the next video, I'll reveal a secret confiscation protocol and show you 5 specific items law enforcement agencies will come looking for first, as well as underground camouflage techniques that will make your swag completely invisible to any inspections. It's not those with the most beautiful boxes in the basement who survive. It's those who adapt and face reality with clarity. See you in the next episode.